Hello, hello. All right. See, I'm going live at an earlier time. That's a good thing, right? All right. So let's get started. This is the first of several series that I'm going to do in regards to reading. So if you're watching the replay, that is fine. Okay, I know it's in the middle of the day. Let me fix my camera. All right, I'm not going to always, go live in the evenings. So definitely watch the replay. So as many of you know, this is the page, not the group. So the group knows me a lot better. So if you're not members of the group, just stick in the search bar, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, and join the group. It's a great group. So my daughter struggles with reading, all right? And it's something that is near and dear to my heart because it's a subject that our kids have got to know, right? And if they don't, functioning in the everyday world, not being able to read is going to be difficult, okay? And so we all want our kids to learn how to read, even if it's slow. So it's important when you are establishing a IEP, when you are reevaluating an IEP, which is always yearly, if not more. And it's important to know what it means to make progress, what type of progress is sufficient. As you know, in many progress reports, it'll say your child's making sufficient progress, right? Well, there's a difference in opinion in regards to what is sufficient. So when that is written, it's written without clarity and finality, which it can be actually a substantive violation. So all IEPs and all things discussed within the IEP in your child needs to be with clarity and sufficiency. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I am a foster for puppies, and I have puppies that I just got the other day, and they do not stop barking. It's crazy. It's driving me crazy. But hopefully they will be quiet. I fed them before I came live, so hopefully they'll be good. Okay, so if you don't know me or it's your first through third time catching me live, hey Erin, post a 1 below. So it's your first through third time catching me live, and you're like, okay, let me check this out. I need to learn more about the IEP, but I'm just not sure. Post a 1 below. Tell me where you're from. We want to get to know you. And again, you can put in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, and you can join the group where that's where a lot of women collaborate, talk about things that's going on. I'll respond to a lot of things in there. But it's a support group in regards to IEPs and all things IEP and education based. It is not a chit-chatsy area in regards to, if your child should get immunizations or, your child is having, things going on at home with sleep and so on and so forth. It's not that type of a group, okay? It's a group in regards to education only, IEPs, special education. All right, so we're going to get started with talking about reading. And those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. And that is key. Becoming the CEO of your IEP meeting is you becoming that main person, all right? If you think about what a CEO is, they're the take charge person who addresses things, right? They address issues, they handle what's going on. They cannot get caught up in feelings. They cannot get caught up in, I'm going to offend you, so let me be careful and tiptoe around this. They can't be caught up in that in order to get things done, right? Because that's the purpose, is to get things done. That's what CEOs do. They make educated business decisions, and your IEP is a business decision. You may be saying, this is my kid. What do you mean it's a business decision? That's an emotional thing, right? No, it's not. All right. You need to learn how to keep your emotions the heck out of your IEP meeting. You need to learn how to keep your emotions at the side, okay, in the sidelines. Have your meltdown afterwards. Believe me, I know it is difficult, but your emotions will be your worst enemy. Okay, I'm telling you this from years of experience. It will be your worst enemy. Okay, so become the CEO of your IEP meeting. Even if that takes time, it will take time. It took me 6.5 years uphill. You don't want to go through that. So you want to make sure that you are on it, and that is okay if you are still learning. So I spoke with a mom today, and she was telling me, she's like, I'm so nervous. I'm just learning this stuff. I got to learn. You brought up a lot of, we had a discovery call, and she said, you brought up a lot of really good points of things that I didn't even think about, because she was so emotionally involved that you're not thinking about the things that are important truly when it comes to education. You just have everything everywhere. You're throwing up on somebody when you're talking about it because you just don't know how to itemize it of importance and focus on that main thing, what is needed and appropriate, because you're kind of all over, the teachers aren't doing this, they're not implementing the IEP, they're not giving me speech, there's not getting enough speech time. You're all over and it's chaos. And that is not how you're going to focus and get your child what they need. You have to focus. All right. So that's kind of what I do. All right. But let's talk about reading today. All right. So reading is near and dear to my heart. My daughter is currently at Linda Mood Bell because of this type of issue. All right. So what I want you to know right now, in this first of many series in regards to reading that I promised I would do, all right, it's going to be many. It's not going to be consecutive, but it's going to be many of them, okay? So there's levels of reading, and so you really need to focus and find out what reading level your child is on, all right? You want to do this in all subjects, by the way, but we're going to talk about reading. So number one, what level is your child on, all right? I spent 45 minutes in an IEP about a month ago arguing with a teacher. All right. Well, I wasn't really arguing. I was consistently asking the same question. Oh, really quick, guys. Post a 1 below if you're new. First through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie, okay? Kind of like Aaron did. Make sure you guys say hi. 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Don't be shy. And a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. All right. So with reading, number one, once you find out what level your child's on, all right, you're going to probably, possibly run into a problem that I just had, which was, hi, Cal, how are you? So the problem I ran into is in the IEP meeting, I asked for 45 minutes, what is the grade level that this student is on? She wouldn't answer. 45 freaking minutes. Just answer the question. She kept going around and around and around. Answer the question. What grade level is this child on? Around and around and around we go for more time, 45 minutes. Finally, I was ready to lose my mind, and I said, Miss So-and-so, just tell me, I don't care about anything else. Tell me what grade level this child is on. Period. That's all I want to know. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Tell me what grade. That's all I want to know. Do not answer me other than a number. What level? That is exactly how I said it, guys. What grade level? That's it. Don't talk to me about everything else. I asked you a direct question. Answer it, and then we can move on. They don't want to answer these questions. The reason for that is because it holds them accountable for what they said. And if you're in a one-party state, tape them. Record the conversation. Okay? Record. If you're in a one-party state, record. If you're in a two-party state or an all-party state, you do have to ask. Okay? There's a little bit of a up and down kind of argument in regards to if you say in the IEP meeting, I'm going to be recording this, and they don't say anything at all, that it's okay. I'm not personally telling you that, but there's an argument in regards to that. So, you got to make your own decisions, but there's ways to go about it. Okay. So that is frustrating. Hey, Sarah, welcome. And Jennifer, welcome, guys. We have Jessica on here and Cassette and Michelle. Thank you, guys. Make sure you do post that 1 below if you're new so we can welcome you and definitely join the group. and posted two, look, I can't even, two below if you're an oldie but goodie. All right, so other than knowing what grade level your child's in, okay, you need to then look at how far behind are they, okay? So let's just take 1 year, all right? Your child's 1 year behind. Is that enough to say this isn't sufficient progress, they haven't made sufficient progress, something's going on? My personal opinion, no, it's not. I know, right? So if your child is 1 year behind, it's not a big amount. It's not. Be happy, honestly, about that. Our children have disabilities. They're going to be behind. It's when that gap gets bigger than a year. So let me explain what I meant there, okay? So I'm not saying, no, it's not important that your child's 1 year behind, don't do anything about it. What I'm saying is if your child is 1 year behind, all right, then what you need to look at is, number one, in 10 years, or when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, is 1 year behind going to affect them in living a normal everyday life as best as possible, which is the end result of the idea, right? To be able to get them to make enough progress to where they are productive adults, okay? Is 1 year behind, that's the question you gotta ask yourself, is 1 year behind going to be something that really affects them? No, it's not. Does that mean you ignore it? No. Does it mean that you don't do anything about it? No. But is it a big deal at 1 year behind? No. Okay? So let's just go on to 2 years, okay? Should you be worried about that? Oh, absolutely. Okay, so do you see how I jumped from 1 year to 2 years and bam, there's a big difference? There's a huge difference, okay? Because at that point, it is showing that there is not progress happening. It is continuously getting worse, because you'll see where it starts at 1 year, then it's kind of rolling over. Or what you'll see is you'll start at 1 year and then you're looking at the next year's IEP and the reading goals from year 2019 have rolled over to 2020. 2020 goals have then rolled into 2021. And don't be tricked by 1 or 2 goals changing and everything else staying the same. That's kind of a way to trick the eye, is what I say. I always feel like I am the negative nanny kind of advocate, but I'll tell you, it's stuff I hear all the time. Parents tell me all the time, this is what's happening. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, do I keep it transparent, or do I always just talk, in a positive way because the educational system hasn't failed our kids? And I decided, no, if it sucks, I'm not a negative person, but if I have to keep it transparent, that's what I'm going to do. So keeping it transparent, the educational system has failed. It has failed, and it's continuing to fail, and we need it to get better. Is it ever going to be perfect? No. But does it need to get a lot better? Yes. Okay. Even for gen ed kids, it has still failed. There's some research out now in regards to high school students on how they're not happy. They're not doing as well as they used to do. They're talking about how that interaction, that social interaction, the ability to ask questions on an ongoing basis while in the classroom. And this is gen ed high school students who you would think would do just fine in an online course, right? There's a lot of research now in talking to these students that it's not working for them either. So just take that, and now we have special education and younger kids and so on and so forth, or even older kids, and more significantly challenged children. And we're talking about high school children with no disabilities are already struggling, and worried about graduating and, their grades dropping and so forth. All right, so once you know the grade level, then you got to look at how far behind they are. All right, is it a significant amount? Is it not a significant amount? Anything over 2 years is significant, okay? So if it passes that 1 year mark, you need to be worried. You need to start digging. You need to find out why they're continuing to get behind. If they stayed at 1 year or even 1.5 years, and just continued at that pace, awesome. I would be thrilled, to be quite honest. But if it starts at 1 year and then it moves to 2 years behind, and it's kind of moving to 3 years behind, now I'm working with parents whose children are 5 years behind, actually a couple parents, to be quite honest. And it's a big deal, because catching up from that is sometimes slim to none. We're talking huge, significant deficit now, and we're talking about an area that is going to impact every part of everyday life. And we fail to comprehend sometimes as parents, I know I did, the charge that you need to take action on. Or maybe that was the wrong wording, but how you need to take action on this and take charge is not going to be in a submissive way. It needs to be assertive and or possibly a little bit aggressive, okay? Because this is a serious issue. You don't want to kind of put your input in regards to this concern that you're probably going to be putting out initially, and then it's kind of ignored, you're responded to, and you're just appeased, and nothing's really happening. You're getting that kind of half-assed responses back, to be honest. And then, months later or 2-3 months later, you're finally getting a IEP meeting, and then maybe you're going back and forth on IEP, and it takes all this time. And what's happening? Your child is continuously getting behind. All right. So it's something you have to be on top of. It's something you need to be adamant about. It needs to be something that you're very assertive and or aggressive about. And you need to put up with no BS. None. Zero. This is reading. The next important subject is math. Okay. You have to be able to you have to usually be able to read to do math, because in a lot of math concepts, you have to read them. All right. So as you get more and more, not so much like, addition, subtraction, but as you get more and more along, you have to be able to read. So we need to take more initiative in this. That's why I say I help parents become the CEO of their IEP meeting. You have to become the CEO of this. This is a business transaction, guys. All right. I say this all the time. People have said, what do you mean? An IEP, a business transaction? This is my kid we're talking about. It is. We're talking about your child, but the IEP is not your child, okay? It is a legal document, okay? That what is in that legal document is referenced to your child. But the IEP itself is not Benjamin, is not Sarah, okay? So you need to look at this as a business transaction, all right? You are business partners. You are not friends. You are not anything else. You don't go out to lunch. You don't chit chat on the phone. You don't catch up on, what you did each day. All right. You don't tell each other about how you went to your hair appointment yesterday and you got your hair colored. You talk about your child. You talk about what is needed and appropriate for them. You talk about the services, accommodations, modifications that they need. You talk about facts and you stick to that. All right. You do not chat about anything else. You do not get really friendly, okay? You have a relationship. It's like a acquaintance, if you will. But the relationship in that IEP meeting is a business meeting, and the IEP is a business transaction. Meaning, when it's done, when you've put it together, and it's all put together, what do? You sign it, making it finalized. It is a transaction. And the results of that transaction, just like a result of a contract, which you can look at it like that as well. A contract. It is a legal contract that is upheld in the Supreme Court. Okay? It is a federal document. Okay? So it is a serious issue. It is a business transaction. Okay? Contracts, agreements that are legalized, okay? That not following them has serious repercussions, not just, let me make a state complaint. And ongoing, if you know anything about the Andrew versus Douglas, very impactful case where a lot of it was in reference to the child not making sufficient progress. It was called de minimis progress, all right? That is small, minute, tiny, etc., all right? And sufficient progress is 2, 3, 4, 5 years behind. It's continuing to to kind of spiral out of control. The goals are becoming repetitive. All right. It's hard to see this stuff because you're looking at this big document. You know, many of the IEPs I look at are anywhere from 19 to 54 pages. The average is about 28. And you're looking through all this paperwork and it can get very confusing. Your eyes can start playing games with you. I know looking at one, you know, sometimes when you're just really focused and I go through them page by page, you know, you start to see stars, you know? And so it's easy to miss things, all right? So I always tell people, go through 5 pages at a time. Go through 5 pages, get up, go get a snack, do your thing, maybe come back an hour or two later, reread those 5 pages. Do it 2 or 3 times. Then move on to the next 5 pages. After you've looked at the first 5 pages 2 or 3 different times and not at the same time, all right? Each time you come back to that IEP, you're gonna find something new, I promise you. So once you find out your child's grade level, all right, and obviously if they're behind, you gotta get on it. So with Lexile, okay, numbers, they're numbers, okay, that then translate into a grade, all right? And then you have a DRA level, same thing, all right? So I'll give you an example, all right? You have the Lexile ranges, all right? Let's just say 2nd grade. It can range, all right, from 100 to 1120, all right? Now, the numbers that you need to focus on are 420 to 620 is 2nd grade, 620 to 820 is 3rd, 740 to 875 is 4th, 875 to 1010 is 5th, and 925 to 1010 is 6th. All right, we'll just kind of stop there. All right, that's Lexile level. All right, so if your child, let's just say, because it's a tricky, all right? It's interesting how tricky the verbiage in an IEP or verbiage that you will hear can trick you. All right, let me just give you an example. When you hear, oh, your child's on a 620 reading level, you're thinking, oh, that's a big number, right? Because I know when that was said to me, not so much 620, but just a number, I was like, oh, that's good. That's a high number. That's something that I should be happy about because I didn't even know what that freaking number meant. I had no idea. I just knew it was a big number. So I assumed that it was a good thing. So now I look into every single thing. It's crazy, you know? So then you look at, okay, so 420 to 620, that is 1st or 2nd grade, all right? So you're thinking like, oh, 620, that's awesome, but your kid's in 5th grade. Not so awesome, right? So then you hear 620 to 820 and you're like, oh, that's a really huge number. But if you have a 9th grader looking at that and they're in a 3rd grade level reading, you're gonna then think otherwise when you're hearing that big number. All right, so DRA, somewhat the same, but a lot of times it's under letters, okay? So for example, you can look at a DR level, for example, at HIJ. So that's, that usually goes like a 1.5 to the end of the school year, like a 1.89, all right? And that is a 1st grade, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th month, okay? So 1 point whatever is the month, all right? So then you hit J, that's moving the 1st month of 2nd grade, all right? So that's how that works. And it just continues and moves up. And it's interesting because when you look at that, let me pull up to let you know. All right, here we go. All right, so in your DRA level, it's very clear that, for example, if your child is on a level, let's just say N, all right? So that's 3rd grade, 1st month. O, 3rd grade, 2nd or 3rd month, all right? So you kind of look at it like that, and it will tell you straight up. If you look at a DRA level chart, it will tell you very clearly. And DRA and Lexile levels are usually on a very similar chart. So HI is the highest level of first grade. JKLM is second, moving into third grade, first, second month, okay? And then you move on. So like fifth grade is U, T and U, and then you have sixth grade, which is VWX, and then you just continue to move up. All right, so you need to know these levels. I could actually post in my group a chart, okay? So if you're a member of the group, I will post a chart in the documents area, and you can print that out and do what you want with it. But it will help you really focus on where your child is, all right? So if your child is doing iReady, which is kind of a popular reading program that I think kind of sucks, or another one is the, like a practice one is Lexia. Lexia is actually decent for practice, all right? Then you have the STAR assessment. Now let me tell you something. iReady and STAR, okay? I have done personal conversations with both and where they did an overview with me, okay, of the whole program and what it is you're supposed to look for when provided data, all right? So just recently, a client of mine received a iReady chart that said, hey, your child's on, this Lexile level. Well, then when I looked at the chart and compared the level, all right, it wasn't where he was grade-wise. He was very much behind. But that's all it showed is the Lexile level. Well, in any reading online program that they do online, that they take tests, assessments, or even practice, like a Lexia program, you can look that up, Lexia, and it's a practice program for children to get proficient, all right? It's actually a good program to practice on, all right? Parents can buy it, the schools buy it, not all school systems, but they all use different things, all right? So I'll give you an example of different forms, all right? One of the most popular forms is the one that just tells you a level and that's it, all right? You don't get any standard scores. You don't get a baseline, which where did they start when they first started taking an assessment? Because the assessment you're getting is not the first assessment they've done. So you want to go back to the beginning and get that first assessment and get that score. So then you see the next score, say they took it a couple months later, and then a couple months later after that, and say this year is 4 years later, 2 years later, right? So your child should have 2 years worth of scoring, all right? So at worst, you want to go ahead and post your questions, guys. I'll be on here in a second and answer your questions, but I want to finish everything here. So when you look at that, you want the baseline. Where did your child start? Because you're not going to see progress unless you know where they started. You have to have that number, okay? So let's just say your child was at a Lexile 100, which is the very beginning of second grade, okay? So where are they now? Say they're in second grade right now, all right? So we're hitting spring, all right? So where's your child now? Are they still at 100? Are they at 300? Where are they? So you should be able to see that first assessment, that baseline number, and then gradually see every time they take that assessment, the next score, all right? And that's where you see progress, all right? But them just printing out that stupid form that they want you to see, just one number. Here they are, look, they're right here. That doesn't tell me anything. Just like on progress reports, it doesn't tell me making sufficient progress. What is that telling me? I don't care about what type of progress you believe or assume or are guesstimating or is your opinion that they are making. I want to see numbers. Show me where they started. Show me where they are right now. Then I can visually see the progress versus going off somebody else's opinion on what sufficient progress is. Because your opinion, your thoughts, your idea of sufficient may be way different than mine. So our level of, accuracy in that statement or even standards, our level of standard could be very different. Okay? So you have to look at the fact that whoever is giving you that form, the teacher, directors, whoever, their opinion on progress, sufficient progress, is going to be different than yours unless you are the same person. All right? So you need backup. That's why I always say progress reports need to be provided with data so you have a visual in order to compare what is said in the goal. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, progress reports, all that is a copy and paste of what the goal is and a comment. That's not showing me anything. If you're going to do copy and paste the goals and you're going to make a comment, back up your comment with something of substance so I can see the progress. I have to visually see it to be able to comprehend it. That's just how I am. And in the IEP, the data, and in the idea as well, it states that parents have to understand with sufficiency and clarity. If you don't understand, they got to baby proof it for us. They got to provide that data to us because we don't understand. We don't understand. Keep saying, I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. You need to show me data because I don't understand what I'm reading. What you're saying does not make sense to me. Keep saying that because if you don't understand, which I don't understand, I'm a visual person. I got to see it. So data is the way I go. You got to show me data because how else are you going to prove it? If you went to court, I've said this to school systems before. If you went to court, how are you going to prove that the child made progress? Because you saying the child made sufficient progress ain't going to cut it to a judge. So what data do you have to support what you're saying? You got to support it. Okay? It's like going to court and you have a he said, she said. No one wins because how do you know who's telling the truth? So it's the same thing. If you're going to tell me my child's making progress, you better be able to prove it because I want to see it. I want to see the data. I want to see what you're saying is accurate. It's not a matter of, oh, I don't trust you, you're a bad person. It has nothing to do with that. This has to do with my child's education. So you better prove to me that you're teaching my child. That's it. I'm sorry if that sounds like, oh, wow, that's abrasive. Oh, my gosh, how dare me ask for data to support that my child's making progress? I've told people where to go with that one because in my mind, if you're going to tell me that my child's making sufficient progress or they're going to move up to the next grade or whatever it is because they're doing so wonderful. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that your child's doing great. She's making progress. She's doing awesome. I'm so proud of her. She's so cute. She wore the cutest outfit yesterday. I mean, how many times have we heard that shit? Come on now. Let's just get real. If you have one of those school systems that are amazing and they have amazing teachers, which most school systems do have amazing teachers, by the way, but say something's not working in your situation, it doesn't make anybody bad. It just makes your situation, which is a big population of people when it comes to IEPs, things aren't working out. All right. So it's not a matter of it's your fault, your fault, your fault, or your fault. It's a matter of we need to get this together and fix it because blame isn't going to do anything. But at the same time, you need to have the situation addressed. I don't care who does it. So, and I always say that. I don't care how you fix this. I don't care. What I care about is that you fix it, my child makes progress, and you prove to me that my child has made progress. The only way to show that a child has made progress is having a baseline number with reading. Okay, we're only talking about reading today. A baseline number, knowing where that child started. You have to know that. And then you want to see the progress throughout. I don't want to see baseline, bam, that's where they are. Show me how that gradual thing looked, the process. Show me, did my child regress and then move forward? How did it look? I like to know the whole picture. And so I like to see those numbers. I like to see the data. I like to know the information. And do you know, even though, and I agree with you, someone posted that, Dibbles, I've heard of that one too. So bottom line, whatever program it is, they have where you can see the baseline, where you can see every time that child went on that computer and did anything with that system. iReady, Lexia, what's the other ones? The STAR assessment, the Dibbles, anything you go to, that the school seems to want to send you this one form that just says, bam, this is the number they're at. That doesn't tell me anything. And do you know all of these programs, actually, you're supposed to get 4 to 8 documents. They range, all right? But one of the most important documents is the one that shows this is, and it gives you the dates, guys, on all of them. Don't be told otherwise. I can promise you, I can show you the proof that, and I have recorded conversations with each and every one of them. And not every single reading program, but several of them, like Lexia and the STAR Assessment, iReady, and there's a couple others. So I actually don't have the Dibbles one, all right? But I do know of that. And so the main one that there's a couple, but the main one you want to see is the one that has all the dates your child logged in and took assessment, practice, whatever. When they logged in, the dates. Then you want to see number 2 on the same form is the score that they got on those dates, whether it was a practice or an assessment. Because here's the thing, guys, is not always in a formal assessment are you going to see where your child actually really is. Now, most of the time you will, okay? Most of the time you will, okay? Calm down. I got you. But I didn't take good tests. I was not a good test taker. In college, I could rock one hell of a paper. Thank God college goes by papers a lot of the time. But testing always gave me a ton of anxiety. So you got to look at, that's why progress reports supported by data, all right? It could even be written work if it was math, show me the written work, but also data. And I've had school systems argue with me as of recent, like as in last week. Well, we don't take daily data. Why not? If you're working directly with the child, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to educate them, but you should be taking daily data so that you can keep up with where are they at. Same thing with behavior. If your child has a BIP, there should be daily data. Why? Because you actually would like to have that, I'm giving you a tip here, in graphical form. I've said this a couple times. When you see something in a graphical form by date, okay, on such and such date, Sarah had a spike in her behavior on Monday. The behavior, and it would be a specific behavior. Okay, so let's just say a spike in hitting on Monday, and then it went down a tad on Tuesday, and then it went down even more on Wednesday, down even more on Thursday, but went up a little bit on Friday. Do you see how that would give you a good picture of that behavior? So it would be Sarah hits more on Monday, it continues to go down, and it spikes a little bit on Friday. Now, let me explain something here. If you do that with reading, okay, let's just take iReady, okay, that's a popular one. And your child went on the computer on September 1st, 2020, took an assessment, okay, a pre-assessment, got their baseline. Then in November, they logged on again to take another assessment. Then in January 2021, they took another assessment. Wouldn't it be interesting if that was put onto a graph and you saw, okay, in September it was here, and then in November it was here, and then in January it went down, okay? Do you see how you would see different things with that? And here is a big tip. Don't just look at a graph like that. If you have questions, guys, post it in the section. I promise I'll answer your question. Post a 1 below. It's your first through third time catching me live. Tell me where you're from. And if you haven't joined the group, just stick in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group unless somebody wants to post the group link for people. And then post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Post your questions. If you're watching the replay, welcome. And let's continue. The reason for the graphs. All right. I always ask for graphs. So if you're taking data, you can make a graph, all right? Maybe I'll do a live on that. I'll share my screen, show you guys on a whiteboard how to do a graph, all right? Based off of something, a behavior, a grades, whatever, a baseline to, growth, showing you what data should look like, all right? That will give you that visual that you will process in your brain. That sounds crazy, as if we're crazy, stupid parents all right? Because that's sure as hell how I felt. I felt like I was a big dummy. And I'm like, I'm an educated person. What the hell is wrong with me? How can I not get this? But I'll tell you, it's true. I have teachers reach out to me, and I love these teachers because teachers that want to learn more, I love, because as a teacher, we don't know everything. I've learned more, not as a teacher, but as a parent and trial and error and screwing up 50 million times and wanting to teach other parents not to make that same mistake. So what's important is, when teachers reach out and they're like, hey, I'm a teacher, they're not special ed teachers. They'll say, or they'll say, I'm a special ed teacher and I want to get better at writing goals, or I'm a special ed teacher and I want to learn this, or I'll have a gen ed teacher say, hey, I don't know anything about this IEP stuff, but, I'm a teacher and I have a child with special needs, and that's amazing, because if you know how to reach out for help and say, hey, I don't know this, that's what I had to do. And then I just asked questions and asked questions and asked questions and screwed up 50 million times and figured it out. But who wants to screw up 50 million times and waste all that time? I wish I had it, but I didn't have a choice because I didn't know any better. But when you see things in graphical form, you're able to see the whole picture. Okay, my child in September started here, and now in January they're here. And just say you had that where they started here, they went up in November, and then back down in January. The questions you need to ask yourself, I always say, question. Never respond to the school system with a statement. Ever. I know. Crazy, right? So if they say, hey, Sarah did really well on the the STAR reading assessment. She scored a such and such and such, and that's such an improvement from when she took it in September. We're really proud of her. She did a really good job. I would respond with, that's awesome. Can you show me the data that shows where Sarah first started and what assessment she took and what it looks like? And then show me what she just took and how it was such an amazing improvement. I'd love to see that. Can you please provide that to me? I responded, but I still asked a question. If someone says to you, no, Sebastian is 2 years behind, 3 years behind, but, we're still working on it. We're getting him there. He is making progress. How's he making progress? He's 3 years behind. Where's the progress? Show me the progress. I don't see progress. He's 3 years behind. Don't tell me that. So the first question I would say is, what do you mean he's making progress? He's 3 years behind. What progress? I haven't seen progress. I've seen repetitive goals and he's 3 years behind. So how do you come up with that? That would be my question. How do you come up with the fact that he's made progress? He's been 3 years behind for the past 3 years. 3 years ago, he was 3 years behind. So tell me where you're showing that he's made progress. Have you heard that before? Where they're saying, oh, they're 3 years behind, but they're making progress. What? Show me the progress. How are they 3 years behind if they're making progress? I mean, just because they may jump up in something. All right, here's a funny one. All right, they used to say that my daughter was making progress because they did DRA level with her. So she was a level E to begin with, which is a first grade level. And she moved up to a level GH, which is still a first grade level, but it's on the higher end. So, an E is first grade 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth month. All right, 6th, 7th, 8th. So it was 7th and 8th month when she moved up to G and H, but she kind of stayed there. All right, and this is still, she was 3 years behind. So you're telling me because she jumped 2 freaking letters that she made progress? No. You gotta erase those letters, guys. Erase those darn DRA letters. This is what you gotta look at, all right? And even with a Lexile level, okay, a second grade level is 420 to 620. So if they say to you, your child was at, 420 and now they're at a 600, that's not sufficient progress. They'll say it is. They'll swear to God it is. But it's not. That's the still same damn grade level. You got to look at the whole picture. You can't look at, they jumped up numbers, they jumped up letters. I don't care about the numbers and letters. I care about if my child made progress and moved up in grade level, okay? We're talking about, when you say 3 years behind, you're not talking about a letter. When you're talking about 2 years behind, you're not talking about a letter or a number. You're looking at how many years behind, how far behind is my child in comparison to a child of equal age. The average child and children on a 5th grade level, in 5th grade, all right, and your child's in 2nd grade level, okay, in comparison to him being a 5th grader, All right, that's how you measure how far behind they are. Not by a letter, not by a number. So not by a DRA letter and not by a Lexile number. All right, now, does it mean that something is moving because they went from a 600 to a 420 to a 600? Yeah, it does. It means they're moving. It means something's being done right, but it doesn't mean sufficient progress is being made. It means that something is being done, but how long, that's the other question, is how long did it take your child to go from, say, a DRA level E to a DRA level G or H or an I? How long did it take them? So they're still on a first grade level, but they moved up numbers. That now you got to look at how long did it take them to do that. Did it take them all year to go from an E to an H, which is the same first grade level, just extra letters, higher letters? Do you see how you can measure progress that way? So there's no progress if they went from an E to an H in the same year and they're 3 years behind. All right? So you really got to look at that picture. And then once you have that picture, that's when you have your argument and your proof and your backup and your objective data that I talk about over and over and over. You have to have something to back it up to argue for direct reading instruction, reading intervention, structured literacy, specific reading programs that are scientifically based and researched. You know, there's different things that parents want, all right? What you want, I can tell you, is structured literacy. Orton-Gillingham is structured literacy. Wilson is a program that is Orton. It follows the Orton-Gillingham structure. All right, it isn't a Orton-Gillingham program, but it is a very good program that is equal to and has specific ways in which it's taught. The person has to be taught in Wilson reading, not 6 hours of training, not 40 hours of training. They need to have sufficient amount of training. Usually that's about 6 months at minimum of training in that program to be able to proficiently do it with your child and have them make sufficient progress. All right? So you need to make sure, hi Kristen, you need to make sure that you find out about this. Kind of like the story I told you guys, I think it was last week, about the director of special education in an IEP meeting that I had said that this teacher was certified in reading intervention. Come to find out, when I asked for her certification, they provided me a certificate. When I contacted the company that gave the certificate ended up being a certificate of attendance, not of any type of certification. And I think we all know there's a big difference between a certification and a certificate. But then to find out that the director of special education sent me the email and said in the email, here's the teacher's certification, and it ended up being a certificate, I didn't even know what to say to that. I was floored. So you need to find out more, okay? So everything that's going on, find out more, okay? Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask, what level is my child on in reading? Why is my child not making sufficient progress? Sufficient progress to me is, and then be direct about it. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't put something lower than what you really think. Put what you really think, because more likely than not, a parent is going to really give a number that is giving that child the ability to make progress and it be still a bit challenging, which is what the idea states. It needs to be a goal that is attainable, but a goal that challenges the child. All right? So you can't have a child on a third grade reading level having a goal at being at a third grade reading level, because how's that making progress? All right? So you want the reading level to improve, and you want everything within the reading structure and elements of reading to improve as well. For example, phonemic awareness, decoding, fluency, comprehension, visualizing the picture so that they can process it in order to even make a comprehensive question and answer that comprehensive question. Comprehension is the very last part of reading. All right, we'll get into that more later. But it's very important to understand that you need to ask questions. You need to be proficient at that. You need to not be fearful of asking direct questions and not fear, oh, I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to. What I heard this morning was, I just really worry because if I am rude or disrespectful, I'm worried because these are the people that are, providing education to my child. No, you can't advocate and be worried about asking direct questions in regards to your child's education and fear that they're going to discriminate and treat your child differently. That would be another huge legal issue that they don't want to get into. And in all honesty, guys, if you feel fearful about that, shoot, throw it out there. Don't be scared. Say, hey, I was worried about this, but I just want you to know that I'm assuming you're not going to treat my child any differently. However, I got some serious problems that we need to talk about. Put it out there. The more you put things out there, guys, the more you communicate, the more someone knows where you are. At least they know where you are. That's one thing that the team that I work with always appreciated. They didn't like how I put them on the spot. They didn't like, what did they say? They felt they were intimidated by me. I get that a lot. Because I'm very direct, I'm very assertive, and I get to the point. I don't sugarcoat anything. That's how I am. I would rather, okay, let me give you an example, and then I'm going to hop off here because we were just doing series number 1 in reading, and I can get into so much when it comes to reading. I could talk all day. So, let me just give you an example so you can understand this, because I'm really not a crazy person. I'm really caring, and I have that persona. Okay, I'm putting myself out there here, where I can be very aggressive. I can be very assertive. I can come across as a you know what. But on the inside, I'm mush. On the inside, I'm complete mush. All right, I'm a sweetheart. I am very loyal. And I guess that's a Leo thing. Anybody else Leos out there? You know what I'm talking about then, because I'm very loyal. But I don't put up with BS. I definitely cannot be worried. I know, because I've learned enough in the 15 plus years I've been doing this, almost hitting 16, almost my birthday, of I can't sugarcoat things, and I sure as hell can't, put my feelings into it, which is why the hardness, and I know this, why the hardness when I talk IEP. All right. So my clients will say, oh, she's just normal, but when it comes to the IEP, I can't BS. I got to say straightforward. I got to be to the point. I got to discuss the facts. I got to keep that child's needs at the forefront, and as emotional as I can get in my IEPs or other people's IEPs, I got to keep that out of that Zoom meeting or whatever it's on, Google Meets. I cannot have that affect my train of thinking, the way I need to think in order to get things done for that child. You don't get things done and have emotion in the basket. Doesn't happen. All right? Because that emotion comes out. And guess what happens when you have emotion when it comes to an IEP? A lot of people will start talking, and they just talk, and it's kind of all over the place, and all of their concerns are thrown out there, and the school system then just has to say, all right, well, we're going to get to that. We'll get to that later. Or they won't answer your question in full, and you'll leave the IEP meeting, and you'll be like, did I get that question answered? Or, and then you're kind of lost because you threw all this stuff out there and threw up, and all the information just fell out, but nothing was responded to. Nothing was solid and concrete in the delivery to you. You didn't get enough to be satisfied with the response. And that's what I see a lot, because it's just all the emotion is just thrown out there, and the direct answers are not then provided then what happens? You get frustrated and angry, and then you're emailing a bunch of questions, or you're calling, which you shouldn't call, and you're just trying to scramble for all the answers that you had prepared for and wanted at the IEP meeting that you ended up not getting. Or you got answers that you weren't satisfied with and then didn't follow it up with questions that would have given you more answers, which is why I always answer a question with a question, and then I respond with a question, and which is the same thing, answer a question with a question. So bottom line, always ask questions. Don't give responses. Give a response and a question, because then what are you getting? A ton of information. Okay, I call it the hunt and gather. You know, it's in my one course, my big course, but hunt and gather all the time. Hunt and gather all the time. Put that in your head. Hunt and gather. Hunt and gather. When you're hunting and gathering, you're getting a lot of information. I always say it's like attorneys. You know, attorneys, what do? They build cases. You're building a case too. All right. Your case is how to get objective data to then use to get your child what's needed and appropriate. That's it. The more questions you ask, the more information you get. The more information you get, the more solid evidence you have, the more case you have, the more you get your child. Period. Works every time. Now, where the problem can happen is knowing what questions to ask and when. We can maybe do that another time, but that is the process. It's a strategy and it works. And the reason it works is because you get answers when you ask questions. And that's what you want, is answers. The more and more you ask questions, the people got to answer. You're asking them. All right? I spent 45 minutes asking this teacher. I didn't move on. We need to move on. We're not moving on until you answer my damn question. I mean, I stick with it. You guys got to too. All right? Don't let them say, hey, we're going to get back to that. Nope. That's my question right now. We need to get it answered. Then I can check it off my list and move on. You got me? So don't let them rush you. You are the CEO of that meeting. You control that. If you got a question, don't you dare let them move on until you have that question answered. Big, big mistake. Parents make it all the time. I did. Don't do it. They'll say it all the time. We're going to move on. We'll get there when we get to goals. Okay, we can get there when we get to goals, but you're going to answer it right now. If you have it when we get to goals, you have it now. Answer it. Answer the question. Make them answer your questions. You have a right to ask questions. Find out. The more information you have that you have a right to know about your child, you deserve that response. Don't be brushed off. But do you see how it drives me nuts? Parents are worried about being respectful and polite, which we should. We should all be kind individuals. But it doesn't always work in this situation, unfortunately. Okay? If I could be polite and nice and all that, and you could too, then we wouldn't all be in a mess when it comes to our IEPs a lot of the times. I'm not saying everybody has a huge problem, but a lot of us have the issues, okay? And a lot of us don't even realize we have issues, you know, until it kind of comes out or we learn more or whatnot, right? So it's one of those things, guys, where you gotta ask questions. You cannot put up with, you know, oh, we're gonna get there. No, we're there now because I asked the question. So you're gonna answer it now, and if you want to answer it in 15 minutes when we get to the goals, that's fine too. But I want the answer now because I'll forget. I'll say that. I'll forget. You gotta answer my question now because I'll forget. I won't remember. They'll say, oh, I'll remember. Well, I won't, so you're gonna answer it now. I do not put up with that because that is a way to then forget. They get absorbed into the meeting just like you do. We all forget. That's why you always go with a list or you're online. I like them online. Always do an IEP online. It sounds crazy. You're always used to going to the table. Don't do it anymore. When you do it at home, online, number one, you're not given the IEP to sign right away, which can kind of give a lot of parents anxiety. Number two, you're online, so you can have a huge mess of a room and all your IEP stuff laid out everywhere and not feel all weird and insufficient. And then you can be organized and in your own home and in your pajamas and a cool shirt on, and that's it. You can be more comfortable. You don't have to be put on the spot like that. You can have your husband and whoever else there. You know, it's just more comfortable. Keep it online, guys. You're allowed. It has to be an agreed upon place, time, and amount of time. Okay? I've heard people, you know, on my group recently where a lady had put, and oh, it pissed me off, in regards to IEP meetings, she said our union, because there's a lot of teacher unions, and that can be good and bad, But she said, oh yeah, we voted on only 30-minute IEP meetings. Well, lady, that ain't happening because parents aren't going to do that. I mean, it'll be shot down really quick. So I'm glad you voted on it, but it ain't happening. No way. Not happening. That's not even providing a parent the right to a meeting to discuss their child. It takes me 30 minutes it took me 45 minutes asking one teacher what grade level this child was on. I mean, an hour isn't even sufficient. All my IEP meetings, all of them, 3 hours. And I go every last minute of it, sometimes more. If you're really going over your IEP the way you're supposed to, 3 hours is nothing. So whatever it is you do in an hour, I would love to sit in somebody's meeting that is 1 hour and see how effective it is. There's no way an IEP is put together in an hour. No way. I mean, my IEPs go in process, all right? Evaluation, review the evaluation, and then create the IEP. Now, if you've already had the evaluation, then it is create another IEP. Create an IEP based off goals. But typically, I won't create the IEP until I meet with the IEP team, go over all the goals, go over the IEP, go over how my child's been doing, take the IEP, read it, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, then send an email about a day before the meeting and give them a page by page, these are the issues I have, go to the meeting online, then we create the IEP. Oh, and I send them a whole Word document on how to redo their goals because 99.999% of the time they have no clue how to write goals in a smart way and measurable. So that is how it should be. All right? Never. I mean, like I said, I would love to sit in, if you guys have meetings and they're only an hour, please invite me. I'll sit there for free because I want to know what the hell is covered in a meeting that's an hour. You can't create an IEP in an hour. Not a good one. I can guarantee you that. So if you have a meeting that is 1 hour and you think your IEP is great, I'll take 2 people. First 2 people who PM me. Send me your IEPs and tell me your story about how it took 1 hour. I'll look your IEP over for free. Because there's no way. There's no way. Not happening. Okay? So hopefully, you guys got something out of this reading. Do not ever let it go. Do not just keep letting it go. Do not just accept, oh, they're making progress, just give them time. No. Nope. No, we're not going to, we can give them time, but we're going to get them into intervention. We're going to get them direct reading instruction. We're going to get them working with a reading specialist. We're going to find out what that reading specialist's background is. We're going to find out what that reading specialist training is outside of being just a teacher. Obviously, they went and got their master's to do reading. Okay, but guess what? Doing that does not make them proficient in any one specific area of reading. So that doesn't mean that they're certified in Orton-Gillingham, which is a hugely popular, scientifically based program, research-based, peer-reviewed, and works not just with children with dyslexia, with children with learning disabilities, with children with autism. Structured literacy is the way to go. Or like Linda Mood Bell does, the visualizing, verbalizing. My daughter made a year's progress in 5 months. So you gotta be very on top of that CEO. Think about it. If a CEO, let's just take a business, all right? And then I'm gonna jump off. If a CEO, they're all about, if it's a business, making profit, making a sale, moving forward, growing, right? Same thing with you guys, but take a CEO wanting to do that. It's no BS setting their person out to do what needs to be done to make it happen. No BS, no allowing this, that, and the other or excuses. They're not going to have people and work for them if they come back with excuses as to why they didn't get it done. Their job is to get it done. The CEO's job is to make sure they get it done. So you need to do the same thing. Okay? If you're going to be the CEO of your IEP meeting, you are the one person who knows your child best. That's the only person that can be the CEO. No one sitting around that table knows the child like you do. And if we're talking about a child, we're talking about their education, who they are, what they're about, what they know, what they don't know. You're the one who knows that best. So that's who's the CEO of the meeting. You're a team, but you're the one who knows the child best. So it's all about standing up and taking hold of your role and doing it and performing it at your best. And that means holding people accountable, asking questions, being direct, being assertive. If your games are played, play it better. If you feel like BS is happening, take control of that situation. Figure it out. Hold people accountable. Don't just let it go. Make sure that your child gets what's needed and appropriate, no matter what. That is their right. That's your right as a parent to make sure that they have that. And don't ever give up. And keep emotion out of it, because it'll be your worst enemy. Okay? So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. I see all of your questions. I'm going to actually come back on live after my appointment. I have an appointment, and I'm actually running late because I was running my mouth to you guys. So I am going to jump off. I see all your questions, guys. I see all the new people, and I promise I'm going to come back to it and jump on live to talk more. But I'm actually going to go live on my group for a little bit too. But I want you guys to know that I love what I do. Love it. I'm super passionate about it, and you need to be passionate about doing whatever it takes to make it happen, okay? Stop feeling all that guilt and all that stuff because you feel like, okay, you know, I don't know a lot. I have so much to learn. This is so confusing. What am I supposed to do? I got an IEP meeting next week. I've created a binder. You know, that's great. But in my PPPN system, which is plan and prepare, present, persuade, and negotiate only if you have to, you have to plan and prepare in a productive and effective way. So how I used to plan and prepare, I think I told many of people who knows my story that I went with a suitcase, you know, the rolling suitcases, the big ones that you take on an airplane, full of binders of research to my first IEP meeting. I thought I knew all my shit. I had my PhD in Google. I mean, I was a doctor in Googling, and didn't get me anywhere. Because you can be as smart as you want. And I'm a smart individual. I got an education. I thought I knew all the stuff because I had Googled it all. I had looked at Wright's Law. I mean, I have met Pete Wright. He lives an hour and 15 minutes from me. I mean, I thought I knew it all. I didn't. Okay? Because I had the information. I had the information in my brain. And I kept saying, I know this stuff. I know this stuff. I know my rights. I know that they're not doing the right thing. What is going on? Why is my child still not making progress? Why am I losing my mind? Why do I feel sick to my stomach every time I leave an IEP? Why do I have so much anxiety? It all kept on me. It was like this huge weight, and guilt was unreal. I still have guilt, to be quite honest, you know? And the issue with that is we gotta let that go. We gotta let that go because, and like I said, I still have guilt, but we've got to let it go because that's not going to be productive in our fight. That's not going to be productive in our advocacy. And it's not going to be productive in helping our children make progress, even though we feel the brunt and the guilt from maybe not doing something or not doing more or whatever it is that is going on in our hearts and our brains and how we feel. It's not going to make things better, even though it's natural for us to feel that way. But what you need to do is take that energy, and this is what I did when I got my Google PhD, is I took that energy and I poured it into getting knowledge. But what I didn't correlate and put together was you can get all the knowledge you want, but if you don't know how to go out and do it, all you got is knowledge. So that's where I struggled for many years. And I definitely have a strategy and system now. It obviously works. I would say 3 IEPs, Three. And one being this year didn't work out the way I wanted them to do with the thousands that I have done. So does everything always work out? No, but 3 in I guess you could say my career, not too bad. I didn't like the one that didn't work out this year, but you know, it did settle, and you know, the parents seemed to be satisfied with it, and you know, it did avoid due process, but at the same time, I knew I wanted more. You know, I would have fought harder, but you know, at the end of the day, it's a personal decision. So you guys gotta just ask questions, be proficient. You know, don't give up, and just keep at it. I know it's hard. Okay, so have a great day. I will be on here later to answer some questions. So if you want to hop back on, I'll just be answering questions in reference to this live. Okay, so all the questions here, or if in the next hour and a half or so you come up with more questions that you have. Okay, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.